Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tier listing every single signing under Bill Foley. And today I'm joined by Matt. Matt, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. So Matt does loads of good player compilations over on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. So I'll put all those links down in this description. So make sure you go and check him out. And before we start, if you could just subscribe, that would massively help me out. And leave a comment. What do you think about the signings? Who do you think should be in the top tier? And have we got anything wrong? Anyway, let's get into the video. So Dango Uetara was our first signing under Bill Foley. Of course, we bought him from Lorient. It was 20 million, but I don't think the money really matters because obviously we own Lorient as well as Bournemouth. So I don't think the money side of that really matters. But Dango, I think he joined in the January, of course, of last season. And I think he was okay. He scored that winner against Spurs and he had moments of impressiveness, but I don't think he was anything outstanding. But this season, he's played 4 games at left back, and I think he's really impressed there. I think that's his new position. But Matt, what do you think about Dango?
No, Dango, right? He was a player that before he even joined Bournemouth, I knew who he was. I saw how he did at Lorient. So when Bill Foley obviously bought the club, I had a feeling that we were going to sign him. So when I did see him signing, I was very excited. Obviously, he got those. I think he got 3 assists the first 4 home games. He was one of the youngest players to do that or something. So he had a very good start. Then lately, and the season gone on, he wasn't as great, but he was still good. He was still a player that I enjoyed watching because under O'Neill, I feel like he fit the tactics more. Then yeah, he scored that winner against Spurs, obviously. Then this season, he had a bit of a rough start. I'd say he wasn't like super good the first few games. I never said anything bad about him because he's still a player that I really like because you could see that he gives it all. He enjoys playing for the club. But yeah, now at left back, all of a sudden he's been doing amazing. It's surprising to see. He was obviously signed to be a winger, but if he keeps on playing like this at left back, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be his new position.
Yeah, I think that was a very good point you made about he was a bit of a wonder kid before we signed him. So we have to take that into account, knowing that he has this great potential. I don't know how much you know about Enzo Laffi. I thought we might have been in to sign him when we took
Oh,
over Lorient,
yeah, he was
but
also a
maybe
player
a
that I
shame we
wanted.
didn't get him. But what are you thinking for the tier? Because I think he obviously hasn't been a bad signing. He hasn't been incredible. So I'm thinking around the B tier. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking B as well. B.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
stick him in there. We can move them around after we've done a few more players. Antoine Semenyo up next, and he cost £10 million, which I think is a bit of a bargain. Matt, what have your thoughts been on him, both last season and this season?
Now, when we signed him, right, he was a player that I was kind of skeptical, which I'm embarrassed over now because he's been exceptional this season at least. Because at the start, I didn't know much about him. I guess I thought he was going to be a decent player, but I didn't expect him to play that much. And yeah, last season he didn't play that much either, so it was a decent prediction at the start, I guess. But then obviously this season he got that chance against West Ham that first game, and he was exceptional when he played those 20 minutes, I think. And then when I
Yeah,
saw that, I was like, there might actually be a player in here. And then he scored against Liverpool, and now he's just been incredible this season. He has been, in
yeah,
my opinion, at least our best winger by a mile. He
definitely
and
best winger
he
by a
cost
mile. Yeah,
he only cost 10 million as well. It's incredible. He's been exceptional.
yeah. Last season he actually only made 2 starts in the league, and I don't think he really showed anything of what he showed this season. He's got 7 goals in the league this season, which is the same as our top scorer last season, which is Billing. So what I'm saying, last season Billing was our top scorer with 7. This season Semenyo's already got 7, and he scored 4 with his right and 3 with his left, which I think is his biggest valuable trait because he can shoot with both feet really powerfully. And I think of every single player in our squad, if I want anyone to get a good chance on sort of the edge of the box, I would give it to Semenyo. The other thing I think he brings to this side is carrying the ball. I think the way he can just pick up a ball and run with it is really impressive. I don't think anyone else brings that. So I think he's been a really valuable addition. And for £10 million, I'm suggesting we put him in that S tier. What do you think?
I fully agree. One more thing about him as well is that he's so physical. Like he's huge,
Yeah,
and on the fact that he's agile while being physical, it's really big. It's a
yeah. I
very
mean,
good trait to have.
perhaps he doesn't have all the technical traits that a lot of other players do, like, I don't know, Tavernier. Um, yeah, Tavernier is probably one that's got the most in our squad. But at the end of the day, in a Premier League match, physicality can be the best trait to have. So I think Esther is pretty good, spot on there.
I agree.
Our next player, there's not been many bad signings under Bill Foley, I don't think. But Hamed Traore so far hasn't looked great. £20 million, which is a lot. So last season he made 5 starts in the league, which is actually more than I thought. And I did think he showed glimpses of being pretty good. But this season, just 44 minutes in the league, and then obviously went on loan to Napoli in January. Napoli have a 25 million option to buy, which I think I saw on Twitter today they are considering or something like that, which I find quite baffling. I know he's been okay for them over there, but 25 million is a lot of money. At Bournemouth, he hasn't been good, basically. But as a signing, he's still young and he was very good at Sassuolo, so perhaps it is a good long-term investment. What do you think?
Now, he was a player that I was very excited about because obviously at first we were going to sign Saniolo or whatever, that Italian from
Yeah.
Roma, and that I'm not even going to get. It was I'm not going to get into that. That thing was just confusing all around. But basically, we ended up not signing him, and we signed Hamed Traore. The first game I think was against Wolves or Brighton, one of those.
At Brighton, I'm pretty sure Brighton.
Yeah, he was very good. No, because you
was.
can see there was a player in there. He was a huge part to why we beat Wolves, which was also a huge part to why we stayed up last season. And I just at least this season I really thought he was gonna be one of our better players because last season he got injured, obviously, which is why I didn't play more. And when I saw him play against Southampton in preseason, he looked very good. His passing was very good, and I thought that he was gonna start basically every game this season. But then he didn't. Simple as that. He didn't get much play time, and when he played, at least the last few games, he wasn't that good. He was very good against Liverpool. He scored against Swansea, but he just sadly hasn't been as good as I expected. It's really sad because I was just a huge fan of him.
Well, considering you were a huge fan of him and you did have high expectations when we signed him, do you think perhaps we could still get some value out of him? Perhaps he becomes good in the future, or we sell him on for not a profit, but maybe not a huge loss.
To be honest, if we sell him for 25 million, I'll be happy. I'll be very happy because he's not played much.
Very happy.
It's considering the fact that he probably sadly doesn't have a future at the club. Not losing money basically it's huge.
Yeah, but in terms of the tier list, I think this one has to be a D.
Maybe, yeah. Sad. It's so sad. It hurts, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good signings though, so he is probably the worst one, and it's not the end of the world. Because moving on to our next one, Zabani, I mean, that is just quality business from the club. 25 million, again, the club aren't scared to just put loads of money out for these young talents, but it's paid off in this instance. Zabani already, we could sell him on for 40 plus million, definitely already, but give it a year, that's going to be 60 million plus perhaps if he continues in this trajectory. This season, he's been fundamental to our success. He's only not started 2 games in all competitions for us, and he's been just incredible at centre back, really. What do you think?
I agree. No, I think that he has been just incredible. He's been his passing as well. I feel like that's gone under the radar because Senesi's obviously great at passing, but he has also been exceptional as a Zabani. He's the closest thing. Like as a defender, I feel like I haven't loved a defender this much since Nathan Ake. He's very, very good. And obviously, sadly, when we signed him last season, he had that injury, so he didn't play much. I think his first game was against United at home. It may have
perhaps been. Maybe, yeah.
Because I remember at least that he didn't play bad. He was good that game, and you could see that he was going to be very good. And his signing as well, it was completely out of the blue, and I was like, "Who is this person?" But he's been exceptional. I think we're going to sell him for like 80, 90 million.
Yeah, because I think for the now, if we keep him for next season, that's 2 seasons he's been exceptional for us. So that's already the 25 million worth it, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
but we are
100%.
100% going to make a lot of profit on this man. And so I think we stick him along with Semenyo in the S tier.
I agree.
Again, it's sort of two different signings. Semenyo, a very cheap one, and a punt on a championship player who's turned out to be really good, and we'll make a
Yeah.
profit on him if we do sell him. But then Zabani, not a punt, sort of a risk if he didn't pay off, but he absolutely has. This one, I'm interested to see what you think. Kluivert, he was our first signing in the summer, if we don't count Traore, who was like, we had to sign him, it was obligation to buy it off that loan. So Kluivert, he was only £10 million, apparently, which I think is pretty good for a player that's played for a lot of very well-established clubs in Europe. He's made 17 starts this season. He's obviously playing as a number 10, but I don't think he's shown that X factor yet. What do you think?
It's interesting, isn't it? It's a very interesting one because none of us expected him to play as a number 10. I feel like we all thought he was going to be a winger, but
Yeah,
or at least I thought. I'm not. Yeah, at least me personally, I did think that. But then he was playing as a number 10. I think it was against Newcastle, and then he did very well that game. And it's just an interesting one because I think at least that people have been kind of harsh on him. I don't think he's been as bad as people made him out to be. Yet I still did expect more. I thought he was going to be a more skillful player, sort of. And he's been more just a pressing machine. He's been very good at pressing. He's been scoring, which is good.
Yeah, I think perhaps the pressing is something that goes under the radar because I think that's why Billing hasn't been in the side under Iraola. And I think there's a reason that Kluivert has played almost every game as that number 10. You know, there must be something that Iraola sees value in him. And maybe you're right there, it's the pressing rather than sort of the on-the-ball technical ability side of it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the tier list, because he hasn't set the world alight yet, but he's still young, it's not a lot of money, and he is playing week in, week out for us. So for 10 million to bring someone in like that, do you reckon a B tier?
Yeah, I think B, yeah. B is fair. C would be too harsh in my opinion. He's played
for
a
a player
lot of
that's
games.
played a lot of games, he's scored 4 goals, he's showing glimpses. So yeah, I think a B is fair. And our next player, how do you say this guy's name?
Favre.
Yeah, because I think I saw him pronouncing it and he said like Fev or something.
Favre, yeah, French.
Let's just run with it. Obviously spent the first half of the season at Lorient. He's come back in January, but only played 16 minutes. That's all off the bench. But he cost us 13 million. And I saw him when we played the pre-season friendly against Lorient, and I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked excellent. Don't think he's shown that yet. I don't think he's looked bad. He hasn't really had a chance, to be honest. So it's kind of a hard one to judge.
Yeah, we can't really, because he wasn't supposed to play for us this season, was he? He was supposed to spend the whole season at Lorient. So you can't really rate him anyway, can you? It's like, but I think he did against West Ham. I thought he did well. So at least the few minutes he has played, he's done his job, I guess.
Okay, so then in terms of looking into the future, for £13 million, do you think this is a good investment?
I think it is. I think he's going to be great. I think he deserves a chance as a number 10 this season because he hasn't really gotten one yet, but can't really rate him, can we? It's like we haven't seen enough.
Yeah, I mean, if Kluivert maybe is just a makeshift 10 for this season, maybe Favre gets implemented in there in future seasons. I don't know. I don't think we can say this has been a good signing yet, and the fact that he hasn't played very minutes at all maybe suggests that he won't fit into Iraola's style. But I don't think we can critique him. So I think a C is fair. What do you think?
I guess we can put a C, but it's like, you can't really,
I mean, I don't think a C is. I wouldn't say I'd say it's a neutral if we're gonna give it that. Milos Kerkez. I was about to say he's won over the fans because I feel like he did when he first joined, but obviously a lot of controversy on Twitter, which I think is a bit unfair. But £20 million, again, a lot of money, but he looks like a very good player, and if Chelsea come calling, we can definitely charge them more than £20 million. What have you thought of him this season?
I think, oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because before the whole controversy thing, I think we all loved him because
Yeah,
he gives it all, right? He gives all he has. He's a warrior, and I love that in the football. That's what I want the most. I just want him to really try. Because I feel like I'd rather have a decent footballer that gives it all than a very good footballer that doesn't care. And it seems like he cares because he does. He's a warrior. His crossing hasn't been amazing, but except for that, I feel like he's been good. He's not been exceptional, but he has been good.
yeah. I mean,
Obviously, the whole
how old is he?
2019, I think.
Yeah, I think
Around
he
there.
turned 20 this season because
Yeah.
he was up for one of those youth awards or whatever. And I think if Kelly leaves in the summer with his contract expiring, then we've got a player ready to come into that left back slot, and he's definitely up to the physicality of the Premier League. You know, he's not lacking that at all. He's not afraid to get stuck in. He's very mature for his age.
The whole thing, obviously, the Chelsea thing. So I don't know if he's gonna leave this season. He may easily. It's so stupid, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but in terms of a transfer, if he did end up leaving at the end of the season, we would be making profit on him.
49 at least, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not
so
a
if
40
that
mil
happened,
profit, like be sold for 40 mil.
yeah, so 20 mil profit. If that happened, like you can't judge that as a bad signing, even if we did end up
No.
losing him. So I think that
B.
A tier or B.
B or I. Wish there was one like in the. I'd put B person, but if you want to put A, you can put A. I'd say B.
We'll put him at the top of B, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll see if other players come up, we can switch him around. I just think as a signing, like there's no downside to him now because he's shown excellence. Can either sell him for lots or keep him and play excellently.
Yeah, true.
Radu next, who he's obviously on loan. I don't like him, to be honest. That's why I was happy when Travers got recalled, because I don't really, none of our keepers are particularly amazing, to be honest. But this Radu guy, I mean, obviously as a signing, he's not going to cost us a lot of money. But so he played against Swansea when we won 3-2, so obviously conceded 2 goals. Played against City when we lost 6-1. Obviously it's against City, so got to cut him a bit of slack. And then he played against Burnley when we won 2-1 in the league. But he definitely hasn't impressed me, and I feel like he struggles to command his box a little bit. And yeah, how would you rate his season so far?
I think he's done around what we expected him to do. Against Burnley, he made a very good save at the end, at least, and that Burnley win was huge for us because if we didn't win that, then it would have been worse. So he's obviously not been like very, very good, but he wasn't supposed to be very, very good. He was supposed to be a backup, right? So I feel like he's done his job at least. So
yeah, he has done his job. I guess because we sent Travers out on loan to get experience, so we just had to bring someone in. It was never going to be a long-term transfer, was it? He was meant to go to Saudi in January, but
yeah, what happened?
Through.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not really sure. But in terms of tier list, I would put him in C.
Yeah, I'd say C is fair.
I don't think you can say he's had a good season, but he hasn't played enough to have had a bad one. And we've got the star boy up next, Alex Scott. 25 million. We've spent a lot of money, and today, the day we're filming this, the accounts came out, and we made profit, but that was actually before this summer. So perhaps the accounts for after this summer might be a little bit of a loss. But I digress. Alex Scott, 25 million. He's made 7 starts in the league, so decent. He's found it hard to displace Christie or Cook at DM, and then as a 10, we're not really sure if he is a 10. He's also got 6 goals and assists in all competitions, so he definitely has something going forward. I said in my last video that I agree with Iraola, who said that Scott is a number 8, and that's why I said in a 4-4-2, perhaps Scott would really be able to show his potential. What have you thought of him so far? I feel like it's actually been, he started really well and he's sort of slightly declined. What do you think?
I guess I'd say that's fair because at the start, obviously, he played very, very good against His first game was against Wolves, which was a very stupid game. Horrendous game. But he did play well at least. He played well.
Yeah,
Then obviously against Burnley, he was amazing. He played very well the first few games. Then all of a sudden,
got injured
you know,
against
yeah.
City.
Oh, that was terrible. I was devastated because he was exceptional. I thought we were gonna do very bad after that. But then Christie obviously took his role and just completely. I don't know what to say. It's so hard on Scott because he is a very good player, but he just can't get into the team. And obviously he's not a number 6. I think he's number 8 as well because we've tried playing him as a number 10. He's not been amazing there. As a number 6, I don't think he's good enough defensively. But as an 8, he's perfect. But then again, Christie, it's just so harsh.
Christie is 29, and his job relies a lot on running a lot.
Yeah.
So perhaps going into the future, Scott can eventually replace him effectively.
The only thing that I like about the fact that Scott hasn't played so much this season is he's probably going to stay for next season at least. I don't see him leaving next season because I think he's at least going to stay for one more season, which is good because he is an exceptional player. Even though he's not been like set the world on fire the last few games, he's still a very, very good player. And I think he's gonna be sold for even more than Zabarny because he's English. So
true, very true. And I think that we can put him in A because even though his season hasn't been at A, his season's been a B definitely. But as a signing, he's so young, he's so good. Like we've seen it already how good he is. Seen it in the Championship how good he can be, and he's undoubtedly going to become a very good player for us and potentially earn us a lot of money or even become a club legend if he wants to. Are you happy with putting him at A tier?
I'd say A is fair. If we did this like a few months ago, I think we would have put him S, but he's not been
potentially. I think he epitomizes the Bill Foley regime buying these young superstars. I would never have seen us. Alex Scott, he was in the Championship, he was highly regarded as a wonder boy, and we got him, and I don't think you would have seen that.
I was very, very happy. One of the happiest I've been after transfer. I was buzzing. I was so happy.
Next one, a little bit struggled with injury is Max Aarons, but he cost 7 million. I think we're seeing a bit of a theme here. We're either buying players for quite cheap or splashing the cash a bit more. So Max Aarons 7 million, like you can't really go wrong with that. He has missed 16 games for injury, but regardless, I think that what he's shown us what he can do, he's a very good player. And then when he comes back from injury, he should be good because he wasn't massively injury prone at Norwich. With Smith getting older, I think Smith's actually been very good this season. But in terms of the future, perhaps Aarons is going to be that guy for us. What do you think?
Aarons, I think. Is it Aarons? I think his name is.
Oh, it is. You're right.
Yeah,
it is,
yeah, Aarons. Yeah. He at the start, right? He was very, very good, and it was when he got injured. That was just horrific timing because he was having a great season. I remember doing a poll on Twitter, and I did like a player of the season so far, and he was second place, and I actually agreed with that. I thought at the start of the season, behind Solanke, obviously, he was our best player. I don't know if that's just me, but he was just very, very good. Very good going forward, very good defensively, and it was terrible timing getting injured. Obviously, Smith did a very good job replacing him. But it's the injury.
I think I kind of forgot how good he was because it was quite a while ago.
A lot of our fans have forgot he was exceptional.
Yeah, I'll just Google how old he is because he definitely won for the future with Smith getting old. Max Aarons is 24, turned 24 in January. So definitely one for the future. 7 million is a bargain. Like this guy was linked with Barcelona at one point, I'm pretty sure. And we've got him now, got him for the future. If perhaps he doesn't live up to what he's shown us, it's £7 million. He's not going to be on loads and loads of money. He can just be our backup because Fredericks doesn't exist. And then Smith is going to be moving on at some point soon to retire or move down the leagues, whatever he wants to do. So I think this guy is a high B tier.
Me personally, I'd put him A actually, just because of how good he
A,
was at
yeah.
the start. I think A is fair
Yeah,
because
especially for
obviously
the
as
money,
it's
like just £7
7
million.
mil,
That is mental.
joke. That is a joke.
Tyler Adams. Did you see his goal last night?
I did see it. Very good goal. Very excited because
Who knew he had that in his locker?
I did not, and I'm. Ugh,
I think
what do
this is
we?
another example of our pool. Like, he was pretty quality for Leeds, and over in America, he's actually like pretty much a superstar.
They
And
love
we've
him, don't
managed
they?
to, yeah, we've managed to bring him here. And obviously, we haven't seen much of him at all. He's had his injury issues. But moving into the future, what would you expect from him?
I do expect that in the future he will be playing as our defense, unless he keeps getting injuries and it just really, really ruins him. I don't hope that happens. If that
Yeah,
happens, I don't believe this. But if he stops getting injured all the time, I think he will be our main DM over Cook. As much as I love Cook, he's my favorite player, obviously. But at least
oh,
in
yeah,
the future, after some time, it will be Tyler Adams, I believe. So, but as of now, obviously we can't really rate him, can we? Because he hasn't played enough.
yeah. I mean, you can sort of see a theme here. Like Christie's 29, Cook's like 27 years old. So I know that's not that old in terms of football, but it's still, you can see
Oh,
us looking to the future. Like, we've got Adams and Scott, both young players who can come in and overtake them. I think that's setting us up really well for the future. I think Adams was probably signed because he's American to fit with the ownership and
yeah,
all of that.
100%.
It cost us £20 million, so it is a lot of money. And if he does keep getting injured, that could become a disaster. But in terms of what he's shown at Leeds before, I do think it's a good signing. I don't think it's A tier.
No, because based on this season, obviously we can't really say anything, but I think he's going to become key in the future. So I guess we'll put him at B. Yeah, I think that's fair.
B, yeah. Do you think better than Dango as a signing?
No, I don't agree. Actually I'd put him probably maybe there. Yeah, I love Dango, so I think it's fair.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting to see a bit more from Dango. This
Yeah,
man, I don't need to see more from. Sinistera, I love this guy.
I love him so much.
He's small and he dribbles with that ball like it's glued to his feet. We obviously signed him permanently because we had him on loan. Signed him permanently, which I was quite impressed with that business there. £20 million, which I thought. Did you think they were going to charge more?
Um, I I didn't. I wasn't sure if we had a clause or not, to be honest, because it was all very confusing.
Yeah, it wasn't public knowledge.
It was very. Just the whole deal was just very confusing, wasn't it? But 20 million,
Yeah,
at least, I feel like that's cheap for a player of his, just ability. I was extremely happy when we signed him because I loved him. He was the winger I wanted. Like at Leeds, they had this the Nonto guy as well.
yeah,
Obviously, Nonto was a player that I loved, and we were linked with him last season, I believe, as well, at deadline day or something. So after Nonto, at least, Sinistera was my favorite winger at Leeds. So I was very happy when I saw us signing him, and actually, I believe that he's probably a bit better than Nonto, looking back at it. But I think he's been very good. He's so good on the ball. He's the closest thing I've seen since Danjuma, at least. And
yeah, yeah,
he reminds me of Danjuma a lot, and I think, yeah, not much to say. Just very good player.
yeah. No, I really like him, and I think we've got really great depth on the wings. We've got Semenyo on the right, Sinister on the left. Then you've got Tavernier, who's obviously not been in great form recently. But if he returns to his previous form, which I think he will, and I think he was excellent, he comes in as well. We've got all these great players, and really sets us up well for the future. I think, to be fair, I think that is a bit of an odd one. Like, obviously, Sinister is a great player, and I'm really happy to have him. But I wouldn't have seen that as a position of priority that we needed to strengthen. But I guess maybe that was a clause in the deal where we just were obligated to buy him. But I'm not complaining. And what are you saying, A or B tier for this one?
I'd say A. I think A because he is gonna be good for the future. I just as long
Yeah,
as he doesn't, because now he's sadly gotten this injury, which is just painful. But I'd
yeah,
say
I forgot
yeah,
about that actually.
yeah,
It was like 4 to 5 weeks, so it shouldn't be too
yeah,
bad, right?
4 weeks. I think that's including the one that we're having now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, luckily we don't need him. Like we're safe, obviously, and
We got
I
other
think
options. So
yeah, not being rude, but I think this could be good for Tavernier. He won't have that pressure of Sinistera coming and replacing him, so Tavernier will maybe be able to play with a bit more freedom and return to his previous form. But yeah, I think the signing of Sinistera, like he is a top quality player. Out of all the players here, at their like current level of where they are, he's one of the highest. He's genuinely a really good player in terms of Premier League standards. So yeah, I think at A's good there. Do you think he should be? Do you think he's a better signing than Scott or not?
I'd say it's fair where we put him. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. So last one, NSU now. I really like this signing because I think it shows that we've got ambition. Getting rid of Kiefer Moore in January and bringing in like a proper quality striker who can actually play well in the Premier League. Because if Solanke gets injured, that would have been season over. Like there would have been no point playing because we just play awful without him. Unal's got pedigree in Spain. He scored a lot of goals over there actually, and he's come in. He's played 2 games. Well, no, he's probably played more than 2, but 2 outstanding games in my mind against both Sheffield United and Luton, where he came on and he played up top with Dom for a good portion of minutes. And I think he showed what he can do. He scored against Sheffield United, getting that equaliser, and he got the assist for Semenyo against Luton. And I do think it shows that having a 2-striker system can really benefit us. Do you like this signing, or do you think that it was a bit unnecessary spending 15 million on a backup striker when we've already got Solanke?
I don't think it's unnecessary at all, because if Solanke does decide to move on, and Unal may be key, because I think that if he improves more, he's good enough to be our main striker. Because from what I've seen, at least, I thought he's been very good. He did well against Man City as well. He was all right that game, because I wasn't able to watch it, but I looked back at the game at least, because that's just I needed something to watch. But I think he against Leicester also, if he just didn't get injured, I think we would have won that game, because he is a good player. The first half against Leicester, when we was on the pitch, he wasn't like, we weren't terrible. It was when he went off and we didn't have a number 9 at all. That was when it really collapsed.
Because that's why it's important that we brought him in, because
Exactly.
when like Dom had a little bit of a knock and he couldn't play that game, and Unal can come in and replace him well. If Dom left, would you be happy with Unal as our striker, or would you want us to go back into the market and get someone else?
Oh, I have to watch more of him this season. We have to see more, because he may well be capable, because we're not going to be able to replace Dom with a player of the same capability, because that's just not. Dom is just, I don't know, he's just exceptional. There's no way to replace him with a player that's as good as him. So we're going to have to expect a tiny downgrade of a player, I would say. So I think he would be able to do the job, from what I've seen so far at least. But
in terms of the tier, B or an A?
I'd say B.
Yeah,
B. Yeah.
I think in terms of, I think he's better than these 3 on his right. Do you agree with that?
I'd I'd put him there.
I think in terms of the importance of the signing, because we've got so many wingers like Dango, like he's not a priority. Whereas I feel like a left back in Kerkez and a striker in Unal is a priority. So do you think bringing Unal as a backup striker is more important than having Kerkez?
Oh, I'd actually say so, because Dango can also play as a left back, which means that we have 3. Yeah, Kelly, obviously, we have 3 there. I feel like without
Kelly, obviously a bit injury prone, but I think that's a good list. And I like the fact that our 2 players in S tier, like I said before, are very different. You know, you've got a guy who spent 10 million on, and got a guy who spent 20 or 25 million on. But in terms of overall signings from Bill Foley, the large majority of them have been good. We've been happy with them. And look how many of them are young. Who's the oldest player that we've actually signed there? Like,
there's actually a player we've forgotten. Randolph.
He wasn't under Bill Foley, was he?
Wasn't he? Am I tripping? I swear he was.
We'll have to check that after the video.
Yeah, it's
But
fine. Look, he's a
nevertheless, he hasn't played. So,
yeah. No.
but yeah, I'm very happy with Bill Foley's business. Let us know in the comments, have we got anyone wrong on this tier list? And who would you say has been the best signing under Bill Foley? Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, make sure you subscribe. That would massively help me out. And I'll catch you guys later. And make sure you check out Matt's stuff. Check in the
Yes.
description. Cheers, guys.